I like that.
Does anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
I feel good about
I typed while my and then
Never mind.
I typed in while my on YouTube, and while my guitar gently weeps was the first thing.
Oh, there you go.
When I type that in, it says hurts when I pee.
Yeah.
Huh.
Sorry for you. It's listening.
You got to write into a different show to get that one. From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now, broadcasting from the churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Well, hello, friends. If you would like to figure out which soundtracks had the greatest showing in the box offices throughout history, check us out, patreon.com/therapy. You can also hear about my new culinary adventures. Nick killed a guy.
Yeah.
Which I think we're all
I think we're all on the same page.
Buddy,
Yeah.
I've never been more proud of you.
Thank
Like
you.
that was an
Look at us.
honor.
I mean,
Gathering
literally,
together.
none of us disparaged your killing of this
No.
person.
Yeah.
Very
I mean, I'm
valid.
not
We
going to
all
like
support it.
go
Very
to
valid.
jail for you or anything. Like I'm going to
I don't
testify.
think he's going to go to jail either.
Too late.
Yeah,
I can't
no
imagine a
judge
jury convicted
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They let this one walk.
Yeah.
The cops don't even arrest. I think they're just like, no.
He said what?
Plant some drugs on him. Self-defense. Just put this pistol next
That
to
guy
his
was
body.
thinking about having a gun.
I can see it on him. Patreon.com/therapy. You can hang out with us before the show and support mental health. It is very appreciated. But we have got some great questions as we kick ourselves into March. And before we even kick off on this, if you've been thinking, boy, I sure do want to play in sports betting against the hosts of Pod Therapy, Patreon.com/therapy.
Do we
All
need
the time.
Do we need to reference any gambling addiction? You know,
Nope.
like they do
Not
in
our problem.
Nevada.
Not our problem.
Where the
Different
end
thing.
of the casino.
Don't worry, there's no gambling.
Oh,
We keep
okay.
all of the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's no gambling on our end.
That's
Gotcha.
right. But join our, what are we calling it? Mad Marchness. Come join our Mad Marchness, patreon.com/therapy. Smitty, by the way, if you're listening, fire up that thing. we need the bracket thing to work again.
We should really run this by him first before
This is how he
announce it.
finds out.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Are we still doing that?
If
Yeah,
he
we're
ever
still
stops listening, I think we're
doing it.
screwed.
Yeah, no. Like, just as long as they don't sponsor, keep sponsoring the show, Smith. I think he's so baked in at this point. He's like, whatever, it's on autopay. But yeah, check that out. Patreon.com/therapy. You can join our bracketology. I think Selection Sunday is March 16th.
Oh,
So,
let me
yeah,
put it
sounds
in
about
my
right.
calendar.
And I'm going to smoke these hosts again and eat for free.
Whitney
that
is,
a-
Whitney's
that a-
putting it in her hubby's calendar.
Calendar, great.
Yeah. I need these numbers.
He doesn't watch basketball. That's a problem.
I just think he's got a good shot.
I just picked a bunch of Texas teams last time, and
Do
it
that.
did not do me well. I was like, shit.
I think it did you just fine.
Yeah.
you guys.
I
Fuck you
endorsed
all.
that strategy. I thought it was working great for us. So keep
Is it
doing
like
that.
football? We got to log in at the same time? I don't remember last year. It's due then? It's due March 16th?
No, so on the
No,
16th
no.
is when we can select the
Oh.
teams. So you have
Like
a
they're going to
while.
select the teams
Okay.
in the tournament on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
16th.
We don't even know who's
Or
available
around then.
yet.
We also
So-
don't know that it's the 16th.
I don't. Yeah, that's entirely based on Jim
I'll put an
shouting
asterisk
words into
by
a
it.
microphone. So,
Let's see.
right.
March 16th.
hey, this guy.
Jim shouts words into microphones and they happen.
Sometimes broken clocks, man.
Yeah.
You get a win. Anyway, we got some great questions. We're kicking off the show today with getting help with ADHD and autism from Serena. Hello, Pod Therapy crew. My name's Serena. Pronouns are she and they. Longtime listener, thanks to Ice Cream Social.
Hey!
Heyo, and first-time writer. I have a query about grief and grief processing for those who are neurodivergent. I apologize if this has been asked before. I haven't had a spoons/energy to look into it. Okay, I don't know what spoons.
I don't either.
Whatever. It's a British thing, I think.
Oh, okay.
A bit of background. I am a professionally diagnosed with ADHD and a peer experienced family member diagnosed with CPTSD and is autistic. On top of that, recent work stress and a few things in life happening all at once, nothing bad, just busy to coordinate, have pulled what little focus I have. I am currently not ADHD medicated, but working on it with pre-tests and waiting for my next psychiatrist appointment. To add to the recent busy times, my mom has dropped the news that soon, tomorrow, as of writing this email, we're putting our family dog to sleep.
Oh, no.
That's rough.
That's sad.
She's an older large breed dog who is now affected with cancer for a third time in her life, and we don't want to draw it out painfully.
Yeah.
I know that with my particular mental health circumstances and conditions, my emotions and thought processes can be different than most. even compared to others with ADHD. So I'm seeking advice about how those with ADHD, autism, and or CPTSD perceive and feel grief, and advice on ways to help process it. I'm mostly seeking information about if there are things I should expect that are different to the usual grieving process, so I can better care for myself in this stressing time. So far, I've cried twice on 2 different days, but over the past 3 days, I've been a bit numb about it, had a reduction of focus, motivation, and less physical skills, dropping things more often, hand grip issues, typing errors. I know it will hit harder later, but I have a touch of clarity now to seek advice. I understand this will be a bit after the peak of this event, but your insight will still be a big help in caring for myself and reminding myself to be kind to my mind and heart. Thank you all for your wealth of knowledge and great humor, I believe is how that word's pronounced.
That's it.
Humor.
Yeah, humor. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. It's a Texas word. And
Just
your
helping
great
me out.
humor and spirits that you share every week. Regards, Serena.
That was one of the spirits.
Oh, okay.
We do share them.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
my
share them
gosh.
liberally.
This is a good question. Talking about neurodivergence and how things that, even like grief, we constantly talk about as a society how people grieve differently, and we try and really highlight that and respect that in each individual. But this is kind of an interesting thought to say, like, if my mind naturally functions differently
Right.
in my regular life, day-to-day life, we add in grieving, some of the things mentioned, like being preoccupied, which
Yeah.
causes her to like bump into things. Or,
I liked that. I
that
liked
was
that she mentioned
interesting.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And very associated with just
yes.
ADHD or just neurodivergence in general. Like when we are kind of preoccupied,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure that would increase through
I
grieving.
think that's true of grieving generally. You know,
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
like I've seen something about grief having sort of like a depreciating effect on cognitive ability. Just overall, like if you were to take an IQ assessment or just try to perform like hand-eye coordination skills or whatever,
That makes sense.
I think there's a
That does.
dampening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such a whole body and physical, emotional experience. You know,
Yeah.
I just feel like it takes you down a whole bunch of points, you know, on what you can actually perform.
Yeah, I do too. As far as the ADHD side, what are your thoughts
Well, I have a
on
6-hour
don't
deep
do that.
dive.
Don't do it.
Into ADHD.
I'm just kidding. Do it. It's fun.
At the end of it, Jim just goes, "Ha! Gotcha.
Just kidding.
You don't have it. You're fine.
You made it. You don't have it.
You don't have it. That's a surprise at the end.
Deep dive / test.
But I have found a lot of times with clients who have an ADHD diagnosis that they kind of rebound through difficult
Yeah.
situations. I won't say better or faster, but just differently. And it
Sure.
kind of sometimes seems a little bit quicker or a little bit more often. They're more in that their normal headspace.
Right.
Rather than neurotypical clients who really are processing heavily those things. I don't know. I don't want to assume that that's not
Anecdotally,
based on.
I've seen
yeah.
similar things.
Okay, I was like, it's not on studies.
Especially with patients on the spectrum, you know, which ADHD is not,
Oh, yeah.
you know, but autism was mentioned in the letter as well. Grief being different, you know, and that's not to say that it's just numbed out or it doesn't exist. I've seen it be very acute. I've seen it be, you know, almost like you might consider it wrong sized a little bit and sort of like that person's honing in on their emotions and the emotions are just overflowing the cup.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And like sometimes it's like
yeah.
they just do not have enough space for that.
Yeah.
And it's just overwhelming. And so every human is this way. Every human's different. So we shouldn't even categorize really because
Right.
you take 3 humans without any diagnoses and one of them's going to ugly cry. One of them's going to sit there stoically absorbing what's happening. And the other one's, you know, the porridge is the right temperature. So
Yeah, it kind of depends
Never
on
know.
how you feel.
Right.
Like how you feel big emotions.
yeah. Have you ever had to put down a pet?
Not really.
She didn't have to.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is.
Mom came in, put a knife on the table and said, one of you walks out.
Well, it's one of those things where they say, like, if you get to the point where you realize, okay, I need to put the pet down, that it's probably past that time that you needed to.
Sure.
And that's why Whitney kills all her animals at 6 months.
Right.
because it's
Call
just
the herd.
Yes.
Right away.
Once you lose that
Yeah.
puppy cuteness,
Yeah, that's why she has all those fur tea cozies. It's just all over her house. Those are really
And that beautiful Dalmatian jacket that she's always wearing.
just throwing around.
No, I there's two little things I want to say to that. One is that we always had cats growing up. We had a dog for like a second, and my brother, who has ADHD, would like leave the door open, and the dog like got hit by a car. So like, yeah, it was like
Which is one way to do it.
that's
Yeah.
one way. So then we're like, all right, no dogs, but our cats were always kind of indoor outdoors, so they would just not come back a lot of
Okay.
times.
Right.
There was one time though, this is why you asked me if I've ever put a cat. We had the only cat that I hated. Oh my gosh. This cat would like literally try and swipe at you at the top of the stairs. She tore up all our furniture. Our babysitter, when we were young, brought her over and basically said, oh, talking to my mom, Kathy, you love cats. Like, we'll just leave her here. And then we had a cat, and she was just not a very nice
Somebody
cat.
unloaded a cat on you.
Basically, it was not our choice. We're like, okay, well, she's here now. So she started
now
getting these
its
lumps.
body has been inhabited by Satan.
Yeah,
Right.
but Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I loved all of our other cats. We had amazing cats growing up, but and all of them mysteriously ran away. But this cat had like a lump, and my mom.
I've never heard of a cat being like foisted on someone before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's like, look, I found her in here, and
You've got a cat.
my mom's like, y'all met her on here. She's a little bit of a pushover, and I love her, but she's like, yeah, and she loves animals. She's like, great. Turned out to be crazy. Well, so then we had her for many years, and she started getting these lumps, and so we took her to the vet, and I guess they had told my mom, because I was in high school at the time, that she needed to be put down. And so my mom made the appointment and said, hey, Whitney, will you take Mia to the vet? I was like, so that bitch
How old
made
were
me.
you?
I don't know. I could drive. So 16.
Well, you were
So
stealing
13.
cars.
So
at
5.
13.
Yeah.
That's a fair
That is
assumption.
not a criterion to determine your age.
Yeah, I was 14.
She's sitting on a phone book, got the cat under the arm,
This is fine. Everything's fine.
Ash and a Marlboro out the
now
window.
does it explain a lot about me to you guys? The psychopathy. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's all adding up now. That and the
so-
Free Willy thing. Or what was it? Ghostbusters. It's starting to make sense.
So I did take that cat, and I teared up when I let her go, but it wasn't super hard. And our cat now, oh my gosh, we
Did you ever
still
loosen your grip?
no,
Okay.
no, that was easy. Just a tear fell while I
Lonely teardrop.
one little teardrop.
Sorry, Mittens.
But no, our cat now, Peter and I have had for, I think we're at 11 or 12 years.
That's
and
a
it
long
was an
tenure.
adult cat, so she's
Yeah.
probably like 13 or 14.
Wow.
And so now we're like, we're going to be like so fucked up when she goes. It's going to be hard. So, so yeah, I don't know. That was my tangent for you. But I have put one cat down and I got one tear shed for her at 16. But I feel like it's hard to empathize. And dogs, that's a different relationship. I will say that I haven't experienced it. It's kind of like having kids. I haven't experienced it. And I know there's a connection there I will never understand.
It's not the same. You're not allowed to put down kids.
Yeah.
You know? It's
Well,
not
it
really.
depends on what county you're in, Jim.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you know what? I retract my statement. I retract.
But I feel like dogs, they have such a, and I love my cat, and I know she has a personality.
I
want to
get credit for all the jokes I just didn't make. Just
Yeah, no, you know what?
I just want to get credit for.
What are the
Yeah.
jokes?
No,
I didn't hear them.
don't,
Tell me
There were a
later.
lot
don't
of
do
There
that.
were a lot of
Oh,
Don't.
okay.
About half of them involved abortion laws.
Yeah, no,
Like, there was a
Oh.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw your eyes just
Yeah,
spinning.
yeah.
So
I
yeah.
just like that.
Good job,
Yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah.
It was like whenever Neo's like learning kung fu, and it's just like you see his eyes just jittering back and forth. Like that's what was happening.
Yeah.
He's just
I'm really
processing.
impressed then.
Pages of data was being scripted out of Jacob's AI joke.
There's a lot about Texas.
A lot was withheld.
Yeah.
You were
Absolutely.
saying you want an old yeller a dog.
Yeah, pretty much. No, with dogs, I imagine that they just give you, they like give you so much.
The
I don't
love
know.
a dog has is the only, I believe, the only form of unconditional love
Yeah, it's pretty up there.
that a dog has, because like even people who are terrible to their dogs,
Yeah.
that dog
yeah.
loves
Still
that
goes
human
to
being.
them. Yes.
You know, and like that is like truly
True
unconditional.
toxic relationships.
and yeah, I mean, I've had to put a dog down, and it sucks. It is absolutely terrible. And the thing that I wasn't prepared for, because I've only had to do it once, and what I wasn't really prepared for is, and I think maybe because I had another dog at the time, but like it was incredibly difficult, and it's probably the saddest I've ever been. But then I bounced back pretty quickly. Because I had that other dog that I had kind of had to step up.
Like if there's just a hole there and nothing there to fill it, Jacob, then like, then what do you do? You know,
Feels
that
like
would be
low-hanging
sad.
fruit there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He doesn't take the easy ones.
All right.
He earns it.
But
I'll mention holes later. Let's see.
Yeah,
I'll try again.
It's tough. And I'm
not your puppet.
We'll see.
I mean, Ryder, here's the thing I say, and I don't think it's really specific to ADHD. And this is where it's difficult to give you any kind of real feedback on this, because people experience grief just in a million different ways.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, like, this is how someone with ADHD will experience
Good
it.
point. Yeah.
It's really hard to do that. I will say that, like, one of the best analogies that we've ever come across, and both Jim and I have mentioned this on the show, is that cartoon.
Oh, the ball?
Yeah, you know, this a room, and then there's like on the wall there's this button, and it says grief. And when you press that button, then that's when you feel that grief. And inside this room is a giant ball. And when the event first happens, that ball is huge. It's inflated. It's the size of the room. So it's just constantly pressing up against that button. And over time, that ball gets smaller and smaller, but it's still bouncing around the room. And occasionally it's going to hit that button. And you can't predict when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just going to feel completely random. There's going to be one thing that just reminds you of your pet, and it's just going to trigger it.
Yeah.
But over time, with healthy coping, is this thing gets smaller and smaller. It happens less frequently, but it's never going to go away.
Yeah, I love that metaphor. We had to put our dog down, I think it was last year, and that, you know, again, it was like a long-term pet. I mean, we had this dog for like 12 years or something to that effect. And yeah, you know,
It just felt like enough.
Yeah, it just felt like enough. I was over it.
He knew it was time.
Yeah, it was definitely time. And it's always scary because, like, when the doctors
Super
tell
healthy,
you,
though.
Yeah, she was doing great. she just won the Derby. Little Chihuahua just sprinting across.
You got to take her out on a high, though.
Yeah, that's right. It's just it's all downhill from here, Pumpkin. You got to go. So yeah, I mean, when the doctor tells you, it's tough, you know, because it's already too late. And I mean, for us, it was losing a family member. It was the first death we had ever suffered as a family, and you know, for the kids and us, it was just such a big
the dog
deal.
They grew up with mostly.
It was they had all grown up with the dog. And so, like, it was just, devastating. And, you know, I like what you said, Nick, because, you know, I think that I want to normalize that people with the lived experience of neurodivergence may notice patterns, you know, that they experience big emotions differently. And that I've definitely heard people say that sometimes they feel like they're not connecting to the moment, and sometimes they feel like other people are all experiencing a similar emotion and they don't feel connected to whatever is in the room right now. They might misread it, you know, and like just try to cheer people up or speak to them, and they're not connecting with just letting people grieve. So I've heard that. But again, I don't know that I love utilizing that as a stereotype to say this is typical for that population.
I agree.
It doesn't feel like a hand in glove kind of thing. So, Ryder, the truth is we just want you to have those basic understandings of grief. You know, Nick's metaphor of the ball, I think, is very true. We have these stages of grief we often talk about where there's kind of a time of denial where it doesn't feel like it's true or that it's really going to happen. Usually we go through a time of bargaining, especially with putting pets down, where we think, oh, this can be avoided. Some 11th hour decision is going to be made or something's going to come back and, oh, we can still save this dog. It's not going to have to happen right now. We can still punt on this. Then you're going through that depression, you know, part. There's usually some kind of anger part. And anger usually isn't, you know, at anybody, but it is the short-temperedness, the sense of urgency, this frustration, and like irritability. People are just trying to talk to you about it, and you're just like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. And so you go through all these phases, friend, and then eventually you get to that place of acceptance. And, we've all been through it, and I'm sorry to hear about this, but I guess I just want you to give yourself permission. You talked about giving yourself permission to love your mind and love your heart and allowing yourself to experience your truth. And I think this life event that you're going through is going to reveal to you how you are in grieving. My life event revealed that to me. I mourned more for my dog than I had any grandparent, that I had lost.
I was going to say that too. The same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It
shitty,
hits.
guys.
Oh,
How
what?
dare
Fuck
you.
you, Whitney.
Taking that high ground. Just that high ground. I loved my grandparents.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with you two.
Whitney and I just
Yeah.
liked our grandparents,
I was
guess.
crying when the grandpa died, but it's because I had to old yeller him outside of the barn. It's just-
Oh, Papa.
Jesus. Dad,
I
you don't
didn't-
want to do this? No.
I didn't loosen my grip, though.
Finished the fight.
Finished the job.
Well, but it's
Greatest generation, my ass.
but it's what Grandpa wanted.
Yeah.
He told me as-
It was in his will.
Pull the trigger,
you pussy.
You pussy. Pull the trigger, you pussy. I knew you couldn't do it. You were weak. You were always weak.
You take after your mother. Blam! That woman was never good enough for my son.
We can't air this episode.
No, we should probably just go to the bar, I think. Just call this one. Anyway, Ryder, I think we've given you a lot of feedback.
I feel like we've accomplished
lot
our
to
what we
think
set out to
about.
We learned
accomplish.
something today.
This is going to be somebody's first episode.
Yeah. I can't think of a good one, though. If it's not this one, I don't know.
If not now, when?
Yeah.
I'm
We're
sorry.
8 years in, dude. It's a brand
I'm
at this
sorry.
point. They get it
This
or they
is
don't.
terrible.
We're taking a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about guilt trips from my narcissistic parent. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty, Scoop, Mason, Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar, Swanrose, Hannah Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. And if you would like to sponsor the show, you can become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. Here we go.
What was that one from? Chicka chicka.
Oh, Ferris Bueller's
Yeah.
Oh,
Death.
that's
Yes.
got to be in. Well, no.
I don't know.
You know what? There's been some other movies in there that I thought, really?
Well,
but Ferris, I can get it.
I just wanted to say really quick too, the movies you watch today, they don't put any modern music in it, and it's annoying. Going back and
Yeah.
watching movies from the 90s, it's fun to hear a
Originals.
song
Yeah.
that you recognize, and now
Yeah.
they're all just like BS music.
Yeah.
baby, yeah.
So yeah, that's my complaint.
Twist and
Noted.
shout.
Thank you. For
Who sang
listening.
that?
Ferris Bueller.
What?
Nailed it.
That's why I was singing it.
In the parade.
Okay. Trivia this week. Thank you, Emma.
Thanks, Emma. Maybe.
80s.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, we're at a disadvantage.
I did like
These are multiple choice.
Weren't even
Should
born
we-
yet.
Us young people are at a real disadvantage here.
You want to try? No, let's not. I don't want to buzz in. It's hard to do that way. We will allow, but it's multiple choice.
Buzz.
You want to do buzz?
Buzz.
It doesn't have to be multiple choice. You can just not read the choices.
Okay. Here we go. Which legendary Michael Jackson album, released in 1982, became one of the best-selling records of all time?
Buzz.
Thriller.
Thriller.
Okay, let's see. I should unhighlight.
I
It
should
is Thriller.
I should have buzzed in at 82. I knew it as soon as he said 82.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Shake it up, baby, now. Thriller.
Which toy and cartoon franchise featured Prince Adam, who transferred
Buzz.
it?
He-Man and the Masters of the
Oh,
Universe.
shit.
Yes.
Damn it.
Thank you, Paul Mattingly.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh.
He-Man. Dun, 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 dun.
Which group of pizza-loving reptiles?
Buzz.
Oh.
Stop, fuck.
Got it.
That was my
Teenage
one
Mutant Ninja
chance.
Turtles.
Dude, I have a patch on my jacket.
I forgot to
have a
I know, I was-
Michelangelo patch.
I was going to ask you about
It
that.
says Cowabunga it is.
That jacket was cool when you first bought it.
Yeah.
Because it was like,
It was like rules.
until you put a whole bunch of
I bought
like,
new patches.
These
I
patches-
fucking love them.
I mean,
well, it's like
Jacob, bring him with you to some
It
cool
looks like
rock
the
thing
type-
playing that.
it looks
please.
like the type of jacket a Navy SEAL would wear.
Yeah.
Until you put the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
Hell
patch
yeah.
on it.
And the other one says certified silly goose. Thank you.
with sparkles.
I like it. Yeah, isn't it nice?
Very nice.
Okay, how many of these do I have? Because I think
I
I'm
think
up
we're
9
done.
to nothing.
I'm like, I think we're done.
God, yeah, dude,
We'll
we'll
do one more.
We might need to take turns just so we have a fucking chance.
Yeah. Oh.
Which
Buzz.
I know. I was going to start saying Buzz, even if I don't know it, and then sit for a
which
second.
soft sculptured dolls each born
Cabbage Patch Kids.
Buzz.
God damn it!
Jacob, what is
Is that the Cabbage Patch Dolls?
Yes! This fucking game!
You got to play by the rules, Jobin.
It separates us from the animals.
That's
He's
hilarious.
got like 5 points.
Well,
can't come
technically,
back.
Jim did buzz when Nick hadn't read it, right?
Yeah.
You
No,
buzzed
you
first.
answered the question. You didn't buzz. You answered the question.
No, he said buzz
I
while
said
you were
Buzz
reading.
before you read it, and
Oh,
then
did
I
you?
waited for the
He
question.
did. If we're getting
Said an answer.
technical.
So you just early buzz?
Yeah.
I know, because
Get
if
a
you
few
buzz,
buzzes on the bench.
he stops reading the question
That's
when you
right.
buzz.
That's
right.
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Okay.
All right. Was that all of them for round
That's
one?
it for round one.
All right.
That's
Tie
fun.
game.
I'll watch
See what
Jacob
happens.
get the other ones later.
Guilt trip from my narcissistic parent. My mom and I have a contentious relationship, to say the least. I've decided to institute office hours with my mom.
I love this
So
already.
that she has 2 windows each day when she knows that if she wants to call me, she can, and I will likely answer. So it's 8 to 8:30 a.m. and 5 to 5:30 p.m.
That's a great idea.
That
I
is
know.
really smart.
No,
Big
there's
window, 30 minutes.
Ooh.
Gotta thread it. Which is when I'm in the car with nothing better to do.
Yeah,
There
every
you go.
day,
There
every
it
day
is.
that would be a
Smart.
lot.
That way you
yeah.
have a hard out. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I'm here.
That is when I make all of my personal phone calls is in the car.
No, it's weird. I never get any of
I
those.
know. Yeah.
I must be busy.
Yeah, but it's not a long enough trip.
Oh, yeah, okay. You do them alphabetically. You
Right.
don't get to J. All right,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Let's start over every day.
Yeah, of course. We hadn't We hadn't spoken in a few weeks, which is totally fine by me. And I have a trip to see my aunt, mom's sister, who has always given me unconditional love my whole life, this weekend. Mom called this morning at 8, so I answered. Her tone was so angry, like I had already scorned her somehow. Good morning, Hank. Hi, Mom. Do you want to do Reader's Theater?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Good morning, Hank.
Hey, Mom, how's it going?
No, Hank's the good guy.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's Nick's good
All
guy
right, you know what?
voice.
You're fired.
Hey, Mom, how's it going?
There we go.
That's
You
better.
never call me. I never hear from you.
Well, we're talking right now, aren't we?
You know you're always welcome
No.
to call. No.
Oh, you know you're always welcome to call.
I have, Hank. That's pretty good, man. That was,
Wow.
that was really
For
solid.
no rehearsals. That's pretty
Yeah. I think we could start a project.
Not a single day of training.
Yeah. Do you guys have any openings in the lineup at Ice Cream Social?
Oh,
Scoop
yeah,
Fest?
yeah, all
We could
kinds.
probably get a whole
Yeah.
2-man show in there.
Definitely.
She hasn't called me prior to today, as you can likely guess. The call itself, though, was just so unsettling. It was almost like she had nothing to say other than to communicate to me, with her tone, that she was angry at me for not calling her. I asked her what she was doing this weekend. Wait, am I Mom?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let you be Mom.
You know what? Let's just read it.
Okay. I asked her what she was doing this weekend. Nothing.
I'm sorry we're out of time.
Thank
Start this
you.
question over.
I asked her what she was doing this weekend. Nothing. I asked her what was going on at work. Not much. I heard from your aunt that you're going to visit this weekend. I wouldn't have known had she not told me. Just wanted to say goodbye before you go. Well, have a good trip. Like, what's this guilt trip? Did she just wake up and plot how to passive-aggressively tell me that she's angry that I'm not filling her narc cup?
I don't need to use that.
That's really solid. Don't get me wrong. It was still hurtful to hear the raw anger in her voice, but the substance of the call itself was just so strange. The older I get, the less mature she appears to me, from my point of view. Obviously, I want to say,
Well, Mom, I don't call you because I don't like you at all.
but obviously that's very mean-spirited, and I'd rather just play nice while being as firm with my boundaries as I can. My theory of everything here is that she's jealous that I'm closer with her sister than I am with her, and she's also likely lonely, being old and not having kids, being tyrannical having any kids to be tyrannical toward anymore. But those aren't my issues. It's painful each time it comes up, but I'm better off with really strong boundaries in place. My questions are, how can I navigate these types of conversations without feeling so emotionally drained afterward or on edge during? Is there a way to disengage more effectively while still keeping my boundaries firm and letting her know that her anger is misdirected? Can I expect my mom to be this mean forever? Love, Hank, not Hill, unfortunately.
Hank Hill.
Fuck, we messed up. We should have done the Hank Hill voice.
Even if this isn't Hank Hill, we will offer all of our answers as Boomhauer.
Tell you what. Oh, I can't do Boomhauer.
I can't.
That's a lot of work.
We had a
Why do you
client.
want to go over there and do over there?
Dang old sanctity of marriage, man.
We had a client at the place that Jim and I worked where we called him Boomhauer.
Yeah.
And he sounded exactly like
it. But had never seen the show.
Yeah.
No clue.
Oh, that's
No
amazing.
clue that he had been completely copyright infringed.
Well, those
That his
characters.
entire likeness had been used.
They're based on real people.
I think actually we violated HIPAA just now. I think that just describing him as Boomhauer is PHI. He's like, he could absolutely.
Because everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, 100% somebody knows him. It's like, holy shit, they're talking about this guy.
Oh my goodness. We already said this. I love the office hours. I love the
it's so
narc
smart.
cup.
Narc cup.
term.
Filling her
That's-
I
narc
like
cup.
that you're
Filling her
asking
narc
if there's a way to disengage more when you have you
got
have
this
cut
person down to 60 minutes a day.
Possible phone contact, not even assured phone contact, but possible phone contact to 1/24th of a day per day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Really good. How do I get
You're
this
pretty fucking
smaller?
disengaged.
Right.
You could, I don't know, throw your phone out a window.
I think Hank also lets it ring. I don't think he answers on the first one.
Right.
I think he's like getting 10 rings in there, then miss the call.
Yeah, I absolutely think there's something that happened with the aunt telling her
Oh,
that you were
yeah.
coming.
Oh, yeah.
To
And
me,
it was rubbed in her too.
yeah, here's how I processed that whole transaction, like from the narc perspective, was
As a narcissist. you're
yes,
saying. Yeah.
very relatable.
Yeah.
So she's talking to her sister. She says, "You're coming to visit," and she's going to feel embarrassed that she didn't know
Yep.
where her own child was.
Right.
Yep.
And when we talk about narcissism, we're talking about a very sensitive ego that gets damaged very easily. So instead of maybe feeling hurt, sure, any parent would feel hurt by that, and instead of just stepping back and saying, "Oh man, I really didn't like that. I didn't know that. Maybe I should call and talk to my kid and see." They just didn't call you, it sounds like, or
Right.
she didn't call you for a while. And then I noticed her saying, you never call me. That was what she said. "You never call me. I never hear from you." Notice she didn't ask, "Why haven't you called me? Why haven't I heard from you?" And that's because she doesn't want to know the answer.
Yeah. It's
She
just
doesn't-
accusatory.
She doesn't want to know the answer. Also because if she got an answer that she doesn't like, "I don't like calling you," that's also a hurt to their ego. And they're not in control anymore. And so I feel like you having those boundaries in place, she is trying to circumvent those in some way and still get to you emotionally, which now I might be like kind of stereotyping based on mother-son relationships here. But I do see a lot of times that moms with their children, when the mom is the narcissist or has those narcissistic tendencies, they will try and do the guilt trip thing.
Yeah.
They are trying to get to you because that is where they're finding their power and control. And when they don't have a lot of access to you, they're going to take that route. Like, "Oh my gosh, you never call me.
Yep.
You should feel so bad about this."
I mean, we
So
all know
that's-
that Hank is Jewish, right? Like, that's really clearly in the letter. Mauskowitz, I believe, is Hank's last name. Because this is a Jewish mother move. Like, this is 100%. You never call me. Also, New York Jew.
yeah, I was going to say.
Do that accent some more.
No. I think one was enough.
I think
I think you should do the rest of the show with that accent.
I have
At
a
least the rest
financial
of this question.
stake of this show. I would prefer
You
stop.
hitched your wagon to the wrong fucking star. What did you think was going to happen when you were signing that paperwork?
No, I was actually going to say something very similar to what Whitney said. With like when you don't have a lot of opportunity to express yourself, you have to bring these opportunities into like you got to make an effort. So it does seem like it's just out of nowhere because it had to be, because there was no other way for it to come about.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that definitely makes sense. I will say, I think that was probably the most insightful 5 minutes that we've ever had on the show of Pod Therapy.
Okay.
So excellent work.
Yay,
Yeah.
thanks. I
Yeah.
finally took a couple
done.
years, but
About time.
You know what?
Yeah.
let's air this episode.
Okay, you want to just keep it?
Let's do
Let's
it.
keep it.
I
send
think
it out
I
as
think
is.
Whitney
I
is
think
good
we're
enough. I think Nick and Jim and I can just leave.
Yeah,
I think so.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
I think
yeah.
you
Hi, guys.
just carry it.
Get it
I don't know how
day
to
out.
stop the
That's
thingy.
right. You hit the stop button.
Oh,
It's really
okay.
easy. Yeah,
Oh.
it's a stop
You just
button.
Jacob's
unplug
job's
that
very
big
easy.
yellow
Yeah.
cord over there.
That's it.
That'll work.
If you've ever had a Walkman, it's basically the same.
It's just a tape.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish you had a whole fucking
Just a
wall.
reel.
That would be great.
I mean,
Stops us
Pod therapy is
mid-recording.
only available in vinyl now.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on, guys. I gotta change this one out. Burn
flip
through
over
it.
the 8-track.
Oh, I just had one other tiny thing at the end. She said,
Nobody
when,
cares.
Yeah, just really quick. When you said you want to know that her anger, or let her know that her anger is misdirected, and I don't know that that matters.
Right.
Sorry, that
You
was the
can't.
last
Well, you can't win that argument.
Right.
Right.
You're not
'Cause
gonna
that
win
wasn't
it.
the point.
No.
The point wasn't she's right.
Right.
Or that she
and she's
believes
not
she
even
is.
really angry. She's like
Yeah.
hurt and trying to make you
Yeah.
feel good. Anyway.
I mean, what the whole phone call is, what this entire phone call is your mother calling you saying, "I wish we had more communication."
Right.
Yeah.
That's the entire. That's the entire.
Yeah.
That's the entirety of this phone call that you've described. Is your mom is calling and saying, child, I wish we had more communication between the two of us."
Right.
She's not voicing that very well, and she's voicing that through anger and everything else. But I mean, that is the bottom line. So I mean, you're asking if your mom is just going to be this mean forever, and the answer is maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is something that you can work on, and maybe that's something that maybe doing a little therapy session with your mom might help. You might be able to, if you don't live close to each other, you might be able to do it via Zoom.
I like that.
And just say, Mom, I'd love to, I'd like to work on our communication, and I'd like to work with someone that can work with two of us, and help us talk to each other a little better. And because I think we'd both like to have better communication between the two of us. And, I'm tired of hanging up the phone being angry or sad.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point because it's going to come out. It's going to come out one way or another.
Yeah.
So you either provide an avenue for that to come out in a manner in which you support, or she's going to find a way to bring this out in some other way.
Yeah.
Now, like Whitney and I have both worked with really little kids.
yeah.
And I don't know, Jim, if you have, but you've got little kids.
I've owned two of them.
So
yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, so we'll
Like
give
slaves?
you partial credit for
Like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jacob's had dogs, so it's all
It's all
pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
But
Not around children. I'm not allowed around children, and I haven't been around them. That's for the record.
you shouldn't even be around dogs.
Not young dogs. Yeah. Only allowed around older dogs.
What's the underage?
All right. I guess we can't keep the episode.
That was a good one.
The rest of it's just for fun.
But it's one of those things like working with kids, you have to understand how they communicate. Like they don't have the verbal, the vocabulary and the verbal intelligence to be able to express what's really going on. So like when they get angry or they get frustrated about something, as a parent or as a therapist, you have to understand what's underneath of that. Like what is the thing that's really driving this behavior? And in a way, it's kind of the same thing with your mom. And I've noticed this too, just like within families that don't communicate well, like people get upset at the person's behavior. Well, mom did this, now I'm angry, without really understanding like, okay, but what was mom doesn't have the ability to really express what's really going on.
Right.
Once you're able to see below that, then I understand now that I don't have to respond in anger because I can actually address the underlying issue.
Right.
Or just accept
Yeah.
that, wow, they're just not capable of it
Yeah.
and may
Yeah.
not be, especially with narcissism. They may not see
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
something they need to
But
change.
passive aggressive communication is annoying as shit.
Oh my God.
You get on
yeah.
the phone and it's like, well, you just never call me. Oh, I guess you just tell your aunt everything. Well, I wouldn't know. I mean, I guess I wouldn't know because you just never call me. It's like, Mom, would you like me to? Oh, no. I mean, why would I bother you? You're so busy. And it's just like,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
okay. You clearly a chip on your shoulder. Like That shit is annoying as fuck.
Now
I hate talking to
Now
people
that the
do
three
that.
of us understand how much that bothers you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, okay. I guess we can just reschedule our recording.
Yeah.
Sure. 8 p.m. works fine for me. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to, your schedule
I
is
didn't
so
have
important.
anything to do. Have you ever seen Dissing Your Dog with Will
Yes.
Ferrell? The chef has been taking the night off at the plaza. So I thought tonight we'd go with the Alpo because you're a fucking dog. Yeah, that shit is so annoying, Ryder. And like, I do think that one trick, and again, it's a question of like, how much conflict with your mom are you comfortable with, right? And like, I don't want to push you toward that conflict, but sometimes conflict is the way you create that boundary and the way you disarm that kind of communication. Like when people are going to be passive aggressive, the thing they would really like you to not do is call it out.
That's what I was about to say. Call that shit out.
Reach right through it. You know,
Yeah.
you reach through the fire and you pull out the wood and you basically just say, hey, Mom, you seem to be upset right now. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah.
You know, like use a feeling word. Tell me how you feel.
That is exactly.
And
And I'm not
that
going to
catches
allow
people
you.
off guard.
And just saying I'm not going to allow
Right.
you to talk to me that way.
Yeah, or tell me your feelings. Like, we have a relationship. We are family. And look, you know, we tease moms because like they want attention. My kids are going to outgrow me one day, and I'm going to wish
Jim's
they
the
call
mom.
me. Yeah, no, I'm that person. I'm going to be calling them, be like, "Hi, are you eating enough?" And like, I'm going to be like, "Oh, you know, I just never heard from you. Like, how did your job interview go?" You know, like, and it won't be passive aggressive, but it will be like, "I was
Yep.
kind of hoping to hear about that, and I didn't know, and you never called back, and I'm sure you were busy." But like, I get it, and I just think like in that situation, this person is a stakeholder in your life. So I want you to ask, Mom, how are you feeling right now? You sound, I'm picking up emotions in your voice, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. Can you tell me how you're feeling about what you're talking about, that I don't call enough or that you heard from my aunt that I'm going over to her house? Get that on the record, you know? And if she says, oh, no, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. And then just say, great. Well, good. I'm so reassured because I was
Glad
so
you
worried.
let me know.
Yeah, I was worried there for a second. Anyway.
I was worried because you were starting to sound like a real bitch.
Yeah, I was worried. You sounded like you were really
She's a bitch,
unhappy,
she's a bitch.
which would have been a huge bummer because when I go to my aunt's, I'm so happy, and I
Right.
definitely wouldn't want to feel unhappy on
Fight
the way
fire
there.
with fire.
Why don't you ever call me? Well, I talk to my aunt all the time. I'm sure you guys talk once a week. Can't she update you on what I'm doing?
It's a passive aggress-off.
Oh my god.
Yes, yes.
Oh my god.
That is how you win.
Well,
But
That is how you win.
I did have when I was in graduate school, one of the therapists that was teaching one of our courses used this as kind of an example. Like, in one of the things that he would do in his sessions is he would talk about, like, he would just call it out and just very upfront, just like, you know what, to me, it seems like you're bringing this up because you're hurt and you want to talk about it, but you don't have any other way to talk about it.
describe
Is
it.
that what's going on?
There it is.
And would just throw it right back, and
Love it.
and it just really disarms the person.
It does.
Because then they're just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or they have to like deny it, but it puts them in a position where denying it now is
It's like motivational
incredibly
interview.
obvious.
It's like a Scooby-Doo move. You rip
Yeah.
the fucking mask off.
Yeah.
Old man Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was here the whole time. Yeah, I like that idea. Calling it out is a great way to enforce a boundary. It changes the game. This question of like, how can I endure this without feeling discomfort, or how can I not feel emotionally drained afterward? Like Jacob said, you've already condensed this down to these office hours, and it is so concentrated. And it's like, man, I like that.
1/24 of every day.
Gosh, I mean, it is so
Well,
tiny.
But here's what is hard about this. He has opened this window up for her to call. I almost wish it were on him, but I don't
to
know.
call
Then yeah,
and set the
then,
agenda for the call.
Yeah, because then you have more power over that. Like, you
But then he's
feel a
just
little
not
more-
gonna do it,
I
too.
know that's
Yeah.
kind of. But I wonder, and your mom wouldn't respect this anyway. Most
Your
likely.
mom wouldn't respect this.
Your mama.
That's what I heard.
But I think saying I'll call you and then it be like 3 months, she's
Yeah.
gonna go crazy and
Right.
won't be able to do that. So I'm sure that's why you set those hours.
I do think that is a good point, though, too, is I think, you know, that boundary kind of has to go both ways, which is like, if you say like, no, the boundary is you can call me between these times, then now you have an obligation to be available during those times too.
Right.
You know, in the sense that like, you can't set a boundary and then they follow the boundary and then you're not
Yeah,
there,
in general.
right?
Yeah.
So if you do say like, okay, you know, I can tell this bothers you. I will call you tomorrow. Then you kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
Then you kind of fall through.
I mean, I like
Otherwise,
this microdosing mom strategy. Like, I do think you're taking this in the smallest
Oh
possible
my gosh,
way.
I heard that as like microdosing, like drugging your mother.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
that's-
Just checking.
yeah.
I had to call it out to know for sure.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing too is like, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but like I kind of, when talking about like how do you manage your own emotions around this, for me personally, like once I figured out the game, my emotions just calm down, like just settle. Like if I understand someone's manipulative behaviors and I see what they're doing, then it almost just kind of like takes the emotion out of it for me.
Yeah.
Because then I'm just kind of like, because then I just see it as a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's doesn't bother me as much because it's like, well, yeah, this is the game that you play. I see what you're doing.
Right.
There are no surprises.
Yep.
You're not going to catch me off
You're not
guard.
sneaking around, I can see.
Yeah.
you.
So
Yeah,
then it's
lights
just
are
kind of
on.
like, it's almost more like I'm watching it as like an audience member.
Yeah.
Dissociating.
Yeah, exactly. It
detached.
is. It is really just.
But I do
dissociating.
think calling it out, but also I think to the extent that you can stand it, you asked, is my mom always going to be this mean? And how do I kind of cope with this? I kind of like, and I think Jacob mentioned this when he said, hey, maybe you guys end up in therapy, everybody drink. But like, I like that argument because I like the idea of saying, Mom, sometimes whenever we talk, even though it's brief, I feel interrogated by you. I feel interrogated or accused by you. And every time we hang up, I feel bad about our conversation. And when I feel bad, then I dread the next one. And this is one of the reasons why I've kind of just made myself less available. And I take you in these small doses because it always kind of hurts. And I really wish that after I talked to my mother, who I love, I felt excited for the day. I felt better. And Mom, you don't ever make me feel like a good person. That sucks. And that's a therapy conversation, right? So offering that kind of like feedback confrontation, I think does give people perspective. And there's a lot of people, like a lot of your relationships, you just end up like they suck your energy away, or they leave you feeling hurt, or they tease too hard. And like every time you interact with them, they're like teasing a little bit too much, like taking these little shots at you. Calling that out, but in a way that's sympathetic to them. It says, hey, I know you don't mean to do this, but when we hang out, you tease me so much. I think it stops being funny to me after the second one. It kind of hurts. And like, if you would dial it down, like I'd really enjoy hanging out with you more. Mm-hmm. Framing it that way, most people are like, okay, yeah, well, I want you to enjoy this, right? I want you to look forward to it. So that could be an idea.
It's a little complicated too, hearing that one sentence in there about how she doesn't have kids anymore to be tyrannical to. I'm like, oh, that is just a layer. That's just a layer in there, I think, where a lot of the advice given, I think, from all of us today is kind of very more general, like, oh, you have a difficult parent and that's hard to navigate. Like I have a really good friend of mine, her parent will like call and kind of be harsh at times, and just calling it out did show tons of improvement because they have kind of a codependent relationship. And so for that kind of generalized, tricky mother-child relationship, I think that can be helpful. But when there is a history of maybe like emotional abuse almost when you were a child, that's hard to overcome and say, all right, I'm going to give my mom the benefit of the doubt, or I'm going to call it out and say, hey, I'd really like to enjoy our conversations, because I'm sure it sounds like right now you're not really at that point yet, maybe where you're ready to tell your mom, I want to have a relationship. You're kind of like, I'm just doing this for you so I don't feel like a shitty son. But I could be wrong.
Well, and again, like I guess kind of going back to the joke that we made earlier about therapy.
Yes.
Like, hey, maybe this is a good starting point. Like maybe you, writer, maybe Hank
Hill,
if you haven't already thought about talking to a therapist about this, just to kind of get yourself right, and make sure that your side of the street is kind of clean and where you want it to be before you start working on that relationship, that there's another idea for you.
Yeah.
Propane and propane accessories. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, when to seek emergency mental health care. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty, Scoop, Mason, Miller, Tess Miller, Byler, T, Paris, Team, Monaco, Oscar, Swan Rose, Hannah Marie, Emma, Kane, and Myra. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. All right, let's go one at a time here.
Yeah. Jesus.
Oh.
Okay.
Why?
Yay, we have a chance to not
All
have
right.
0.
Jim. In 1984, Apple released a groundbreaking personal computer with a graphic user interface and mouse, famously introduced by a Ridley Scott directed Super Bowl ad. Ridley Scott directed Super Bowl ad. Which computer was it?
The Macintosh?
More specific.
The Mac?
Intosh?
I'm Ron Burgundy. It's not the Macintosh. The Macintosh 2?
No. I'll give it to you.
There you go.
It's the Macintosh 128K.
Oh.
Yeah, 2 was in there.
Idiot.
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Yikes, this is going to be bad.
128K?
Yeah.
That couldn't
What
have
does
been
that mean?
kilobytes.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
Jesus.
Or thousands of dollars that
And
cost.
That's right.
Oh
that
my
was-
God.
And that was fucking big doings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Shit.
All right, Whitney.
Yeah.
Which 1985 John Hughes teen film brought together the Brat Pack as mismatched high school students spending Saturday
The
in
Breakfast
detention?
Club.
Hey!
I love that movie.
And it's on every Saturday morning,
Yes.
I think on USA
You
or
have
one
cable
of those channels.
still?
Yeah.
We should have done one with
I'm like,
just
I
quotes.
need cable now to watch
Emma,
that.
make us another one with just quotes from 80s movies.
From John Hughes
Oh.
movies.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be a good one. Okay, Jacob,
Yes.
it's not your turn.
This is the one that I
You
won't
get to
know.
skip.
We get to
you get to skip.
All right. Which of these was not a major
Not.
mainstream 80s fashion trend?
How was Grease not in the soundtrack tops? That had to be a top
well,
one.
but it's like they had their own soundtrack.
Soundtrack.
Like,
It might have. It might have been in that because we went.
Musical.
I surfed through that top 101 list, so it might have been in
Might
there.
have
Grease needs to be on
Probably.
tops.
Yeah.
Probably it's in there
ADHD.
someplace.
Beauty school dropout.
Okay. Which one of these was not a major mainstream 80s fashion trend?
All right.
Leg warmers.
Okay.
Shoulder pads.
Yes.
Neon spandex. Low-rise jeans.
Oh, this is easy.
I don't remember low-rise jeans being a thing in the 80s.
Yeah, that was
Low
during
Yeah,
rise
that's
era
what I
like
would guess.
Jewel.
90s.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s and 2000s.
Alanis Morissette.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jim, which comedic 1984 blockbuster film followed a group of eccentric scientists who start a paranormal
I got
extermination
this.
business in New York City?
Gremlins, final answer.
Correct.
Yes.
Also known as Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah, AKA.
Whitney, which primetime soap opera, known for its luxurious sets and dramatic plottiness, centered on the wealthy Carrington family and Colby families in Denver,
Oh,
Colorado?
no. The only 2 soap operas I know of. Oh, wait. We have options? Or
We
no?
do.
Because it's either. The only 2 I know of are Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives. But,
Come on, Texas.
Oh,
Dallas.
Dallas. That's a soap opera? Oh, we're in the 80s. You're right.
Dallas,
I'm thinking of later ones. Okay. Well, I'll hear options.
Dallas,
Shit.
Falcon Crest, Knots Landing, or Dynasty?
I didn't listen to the question at all.
It was about somewhere in Denver. So you said Dallas,
Denver, Colorado.
Knots Landing,
Falcon
Dynasty.
Crest, Knots Landing,
I like
Dynasty.
Falcon.
I've only
As a television
only
show.
heard of Dynasty,
Just as
but
a
I don't know
word,
if that's in
it
It's
sounds
Denver.
fun.
luxurious sets.
Luxurious.
Dynasty.
Correct.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. I was like, that makes sense. Thanks.
Hint.
Very luxurious. Oh yeah, Dynasty.
Jacob,
Yes.
released in North America in 1985. Which
The Bear.
I like that.
and it is not.
What was the
Wreaked havoc.
I want to hear the question.
Okay. Which home gaming console featured titles like Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda helped revive the U.S. video game industry?
That would be the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Correct.
God, the original Zelda ruled.
We didn't get the, we had the Nintendo,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's it.
NES, but I think we had it like years after it first
Right.
came out.
Same.
Oh, yeah.
I really wanted the one with the track with the pad. You know, that
Oh,
you run
dude,
on
I
and
had that.
everything.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
have it. The rich kid in my neighborhood did, but that fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And Duck Hunt.
Duck
Yeah,
Hunt was the best.
Duck Hunt was the best.
That was the
Duck
best.
Hunt, so good. That is a
Oh,
great game.
Duck
All
Hunt.
right.
All right.
Still tied. Dead heat. When to seek emergency
I kind of
mental
didn't pay
health
much
care.
attention during that round, but something must have happened.
Yeah, you're doing great. When to seek emergency mental health care. Hello, denizens of the churn. I mean, PodTherapypeeps. I saw Jim's call for questions, and there's one I've had for a while, but didn't really know how to ask. I had a major depressive episode last summer where I was a split second from driving into, let's trigger warning this thing. Let's get that one out there. Where I was a split second from driving into the front of a truck at high speed when my mind said, people survive this with broken bodies. That scared me and started a push for medication changes. Strong support systems being put in place surrounding work and home issues and being more open with people that I was struggling. My question is, should I have presented to emergency mental health inpatient care? What are the signs one should look for with regards to needing inpatient mental health support? As I didn't physically harm myself at that moment, is inpatient care not needed? I'm fortunate that I wouldn't have to worry about costs. Thank you, socialized medicine. Anonymous.
Well,
Ooh.
I'm glad you thought better of that.
Yes.
Yeah, we're glad
Yes.
you're still here.
I had a client once that did that, obviously survived it, but then was addicted to pain meds
Oh,
Yeah.
because of what had happened.
Sure.
Right.
And
Yeah,
just,
the
yeah.
injuries.
And then, just was absolutely, it did not make this individual's life better.
Yeah.
oh. That's so
Definitely.
tricky. Having worked on the insurance side for non-socialized medicine
Yeah.
people,
Which, trust me, is great. You are missing out. You
Sorry.
are missing. Yeah.
None for you.
All that American money.
I know. So the job I did was utilization management for inpatient care. And so we would look at clinical when a client went to the hospital presenting with suicidal risk, we'll say.
Okay.
And the hospital said, hey, you're at a high enough risk. We're going to admit you. We're going to send off the request to insurance to request coverage. Now, I worked in the Medicaid sector, so that is a little different. So I can mostly speak to my experience, but the things that we look for qualifying admissions are absolutely, if you have thought about a plan and there is intent and they are actually worried you will go
Yeah.
and harm yourself seriously or attempt suicide, then that is when they will step in and hold you. Usually they shoot for the 72-hour mark, a 3-day mark, and that's so they can medicate you or change medications and monitor you and see if it helps. If it helps by the end of that 72 hours, then they will consider discharging. What should happen is you should have a discharge plan in place. What we see is that can be vague sometimes, so that's not great. Maybe that's a topic for another time. But they are specifically just looking for, are you wanting to hurt yourself or end your life? And they will admit you. What I've seen with insurance, not Medicaid at times, like when you have like regular insurance here in the US, is that they will try and keep you that full 72 hours because they're trying to bill insurance. And with Medicaid, where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, not wanting to pay out, they will try and get you out within a day or two. You have reduced, like say after 1 day, then they're like, all right, I think they're good. Bye. Like they'll try and get them out at times. So
Seems responsible.
totally responsible.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've also I remember reading an article about a lady who went inpatient and they like would not release her. That was a whole crazy thing. I'll have to look up that article. I just remember
A very rare.
very rare. That is
instance.
not
Yeah.
typical, but yeah, it comes down to kind of that weird insurance stuff. So if you're in a socialized medicine part of the world, then I
We're
would
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh,
first off.
poor you.
Yeah. Let me tell you what freedom tastes like.
we get to choose,
Tastes like
right, guys?
licking the
We're
envelope when I'm putting
choosing,
a
right?
check in it to send to the hospital.
Yeah.
And getting a paper cut.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got a bill. SJ went to the doctor, got some blood work done, just routine shit. And our insurance company had said, make sure they send the stuff to this lab. And we said, okay. And she was like, they usually send it to this lab. This lab doesn't accept all of our payments.
Ooh.
So make sure they send it to this lab because then we cover it 100%. This other lab, they're going to send you a bill. And so She like printed out the stuff for the lab, took it in with her, was like, make sure you send everything to this lab. Then a week later, we get a bill from the other lab. So, but hold on now. Should I have to pay for that? No. I feel like I shouldn't have to pay for that. I do have to pay for that, but I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
That is bullshit.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
So basically, you're just held hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
like we have to pay it.
No,
Yeah,
just call them
send
and
it-
say I can't pay it and see what they say.
They'll destroy our credit.
No, if sometimes they'll negotiate with
Well,
you.
that's true. That's true.
The American insurance
Yeah.
medical system is great.
No.
The haggling system
Yes,
that we have in healthcare.
it works.
As far as like,
Well, because they negotiate with the insurance companies. Why not negotiate with me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Nick. What were you saying?
it's not. No.
All right, good, Jim.
No, I think as far as like when to seek emergency medical help. First of all, Ryder, I got to give you props because you
Yes.
had that thought and you were like, oh shit, something's wrong. As opposed
You listen
to
to
just
your gut.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
opposed to just
to
thinking
your
like,
head.
oh, this is just, whatever. To be able to be like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe this is a medication thing. Maybe we
Yeah.
need like kudos to you for identifying that because you're 100% right. Now, as far as emergency medical services, I think that is a great option when you can't get to your doctor to
Yeah.
get to get anything figured out. Worst case scenario, if you just if that's the side that you default to and you go there and then turns out you don't need it, they'll let you know you don't need it.
Right.
They'll assess you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. They're assessing and asking the right questions to say, should you be
Right.
here or not?
Yeah, so you don't have to make that decision.
Correct.
You go there and you
Exactly.
let them make that decision.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good example because a lot of people wonder, what is the difference between I'm driving my car and I have this intrusive thought
Yes, I've had this.
of like, oh, what if I just steer into this? I'm frustrated, I'm not looking forward to something, whatever, or just I have this impulsion. What is the difference between that and like what I think the anonymous writer is describing, which is like really considering it,
Yeah.
and being in the grip of larger macro depression and feeling it. And that's a big part of it. Like in this case, I want the writer to pretty much drive right to a hospital. Like
Yeah.
when you're strongly considering this, and
Yes.
then the thing that stops you is that I might not be successful. Go ahead and just take the next exit to the nearest
Yeah.
hospital or police station.
Call into work or
Tell
wherever
them
you're going.
right there. Drive right up, and it's like Whitney said. They will conduct the assessment. Now you sit down and you answer their questions.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see is people doing this personal reflection assessment because they don't want to bother anybody or waste anybody's time.
With depression, that's
Yeah,
such
we have
a-
jobs for a reason.
Yeah.
Come to us. If
I mean-
you think that thought, you come in.
Yeah. Let's play this out. Let's say you go to the hospital and the
And be
doctor
honest.
there, they take you in, they do the diagnostic, whatever, assessment. That's
Yeah.
what you said. And they say, you know what? You did not need to come in today and you have wasted our time.
How dare you? Go
That's-
kill yourself.
I was just saying, please don't say that, Jacob. You
no, I'm
wasted
saying-
our time.
I'm saying
All right,
like,
we're back to square one.
the worst thing,
We almost had an episode. We almost had an episode.
Do it again.
the worst thing they could possibly say to you is you have wasted our time. Like the worst thing they can do is scold you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And also they're not going to
They're
do
not.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they're professionals
Out
and
loud.
they're good at what they do. Right? They might talk about you in the break room later.
Yeah.
But that's going to be
Can you believe
I
that person who
guarantee-
came in?
I
Yeah.
guarantee they won't even do that
No.
because from their perspective, it's one more
oh.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you weren't there, they're going to see somebody
That's what I was
else.
about to
Right,
say.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's like
they're
the next
getting
one up.
paid to be there. They're hanging out. They are there. They're
Right.
dealing with it. If it's like a triage situation and you're there and they don't think that you're in immediate danger to yourself and somebody comes in and they've just cut their own leg off,
Right.
they're going to deal with the person who cut their own leg off. Like, let them worry about all of
They
that.
will figure it
And
out.
that's my point before these three motherfuckers
Wow.
jumped on me.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
You don't like that? You don't a little taste of your own medicine?
But one thing that a lot of people get wrong is kind of what Anonymous is saying here. Some people think, well, you shouldn't escalate to that inpatient level. You shouldn't go get help until you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And we look at that and say, no. By the time you're hurting yourself, it is too late.
Yeah.
Well, not too late, but late.
That's too late.
Oh, no! It's always too late. Call your mother. So, I just feel like you need to be doing this, going to get help.
I'm just going to say for the
thoughts are
record
very
that the
strong.
show would have been better if he had finished the whole show with that in that accent.
Kept the New York Jewish
Say
mom.
hello to your mother for me.
That's Italian. Now you're getting into like
Isn't
or
that
Vanilla
Jewish?
Ice.
Oh.
I don't know, or it's Marky Mark. I'm not sure. Where are we going?
You choose.
I don't know.
No,
Another
go to
thing.
the doctor. Get the care when you think you might
Yeah.
need the care. Go get the
too
care.
late.
Yeah, don't
Jim
wait
said.
until people are, people wait until they are causing harm to themselves
No, don't
because
wait
they
till
feel
then.
like now it is serious.
Or I'm
Before
taking
I
a-
was just thinking it, now
Yeah.
I'm doing it. It's like,
No,
no,
yeah.
go get help when you
Get
are
help
thinking
them
it.
too.
Yes.
Get help if you're doing stuff too. Get help then too. Get help all the time. Just do it every day if you need to go get help every
That's
day. If you
right.
need to like stop by the hospital on your way to work,
Let them
fucking
sort
stop
it.
by the hospital.
Let them
Yep.
sort it
Let
out.
them deal
Socialized
with
medicine.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Let them fucking deal with it. That's
Order
their
lunch at the
job.
hospital. It's free.
In 20 years of doing this job, I've never had a patient waste my time.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
there you go.
Yeah.
Counselors,
Yes.
staff I've supervised have
Yeah.
wasted
Sure.
a shit
Yes.
ton of my time.
Those are minutes you don't get back.
Podcast hosts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Lord,
for sure. That's a
Lord,
given.
Anyway, Ryder, we are all very glad for this
Yeah.
question and glad for your success and glad that you found a solution and glad for your honesty. We need questions like this
Yeah.
because a lot of people relate.
Absolutely.
And it gives us an opportunity to remind all the listeners out there that if they are having these thoughts of hurting themselves, if they have access to ways to harm themselves, and a car is certainly that mean if that's something they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And if they're starting to, when we say plan, sometimes people misunderstand that to mean this sophisticated like outline of events, daytime.
If you haven't done like a CAD drawing of it, that's fine.
Right. Yeah. We don't need it all to be blueprinted out here. It can be what this letter says, this sense of like a spontaneous pull that's more than just this fleeting intrusive thought, but is born out of sadness and despair and hopelessness. Those things are when we say, yeah, go ahead and check in, call the emergency hotline, which I believe
988.
There it is.
That's it. 988.
In the United States.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Not in freedom land, free healthcare land, wherever the hell you live.
Shitty socialized medicine.
But there's all kinds of things. Like there are Zoom
dial
numbers.
any
there are
three
people,
numbers.
texting numbers.
Yeah, there are
Until
people
it works.
that man, Zoom hotlines. There's text hotlines.
Or
there's all
woman.
these things.
They could also
Yeah.
woman the hotlines.
It's 988 in Doge
Sexist.
units.
Okay, there it is. Yeah. Do it while we still have this. I'm sure Elon's coming for it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Too
we
spency.
are going to take a quick break, and when we are coming back, we are wrapping up the show. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar Swanrose, Hannah Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. And if you would like to sponsor the show, head on over to patreon.com/therapy and sign up to become a Theraproducer.
Therapals? We're doing Therapals? That's got to be infinity. You labeled this Therapals.
I did label that incorrectly.
All right.
You are correct.
Accept your apology.
The outrage was a little
infinity?
uncalled for, but you were
know
right.
what? Now you'll
All
never
you
do
can
that.
also-
Erroneous.
You can also text 988.
Oh,
Yeah, it was-
that's
You can call
Okay.
or text
Okay.
988. Yeah, so it's same number, text
Oh, that's
text
cool.
or call.
Yeah, or you could just shout it. I believe they also respond to
Yeah.
that.
Like the Batman.
It is the first episode of
I declared it.
It was indeed declarative. It's the first week of the month. This is when we thank all the folks who are at the Therapod level and up at patreon.com/therapy who make our show possible. Praise be upon all of these fabulous people like Sam Cohn, University Jeff, Robert Paulson, Polygon, Richard Bruins, Linda Brandmeier, Scoopsternaut, Joseph Pengrazio, Corey Owens, Christine Phillips, Gravin Bristow, Yep, nailed it. Carrie Tierhart, Kiwi Fruit Scoop, Ticket EV Podcast, James K, Craig Little, Don Dorr, Jim Hunter, Scoopatron, Todd Canfield, Felicia Butler, David Sorensen, Shayla Bullock, Lauren Izzo, Adam Petanuzzo, Mats Lenegren, Scoopator Ascending, Lee Popsicle, Ian Soto, Jessica Cyphers, that Josh guy, Mama Ninja Scoop, James Dawson, Sarah Olo, Grumpy Lakemead Park Ranger, Sam Buck, Karen McCulloch, What Weekend, Some Nobody, Lila, Be Gay, Do Crimes, Kelly Gagner, Nippy, Brian Emra, Matthew Johnson, Alec Lancaster, J.D. Congdon, A Literal Pickle, Andres Saavedra Molina, Matthias Vanderbramp, Julius Capel, Max the Ginger Scoop, Ken Tinsley, Chemist, Protectin' Scoop, Smells Funny, Matthew Cubic, Chad the Safety Lad, Walker Fluke, Stacy, Philip Guyton, Tim Mystery, Almost Dr. Nurse Joey, Duffy the Slowly Getting There Therapist Bear, Joel McMillan, Christopher DeGursey, Kirka Grimm, Tricia Ortiz, Chris Conway, Melissa L. Geisler, Kirsten Johnson, DJ Sewart, Mississippi Hippie, Liz Alcubie, Scott A., Freya Lawson, Fifi Eli, Heather W., Patty Glad, Kyle, Todd V., Anthony Camarada, David Williams, Kate Police, Kerna Pillar, Trontastic, Buddy Dobbins, Eric Dyer, Glitch Scoop, Nathan Mookie, Aleda Balaise, Bug Nuts, Steven Landon, Adam Balaz, Kenneth Wong, John Finlayson, Mysterious Annalid, KJ, Carmen Perry, Mr. Poth, K. Pizzle Dizzle, Robert Cole, Temporary Reality, Jeff Darnell, Jameebe, Persephone Hazard, Jacob Hurt, Syncytium, Ray J. Shark, Recreated, Silka Daniels, Jenny Rose, Jacob Billingsley, What Does Scoop Mean? Alex Jardine, A Crusty Croissant, Dylan Colopy, Wolfie05, Ben Sherman, Chris Courtney, Dale the King, Riley Cedar Hayden, Nora Monaco, Adam Goff, nailed it. Sherry Hare, Jesse Miller, Livy, Grace, Kevin Tribe, Terry Tay, Acrylic Curve, Linus Huckasan, Itty Bitty Chicken Farmer, Sam, Yegan Kylie, Kay Matthews, Zachary W, Chili Food, John Caravatas, nailed it, Fish Bum Fish, J.W. Reynolds again, Michael F, Foxy Sally, and Ty Evans.
We have a new pterodactyl as well that we forgot to mention. Momi Demate.
All right. Welcome, Momi.
Historically accurate.
There's also Ice Blue Scoop, Brian Lehman, Scoop Brady, Andrea Anderson, Scoop Lindsay, Frozen Cusser, Lori Elsroth, Cy Shanagon, Scoopy Just, Okie Scoop, Dank Butter, Brooks Lyle, Adam Ribchuk, Lovely Spark, Mr. V, Jim and Manu, Adam Warren, the Offices of Counselor and Counselor, Manuel Cavazos, Chick Fellatio.
Nice.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's great.
Okay. Chad Mag, Momi's on there, and RT.
Nice. And thanking for the last time our Theody, the Dark Lord himself, Jim's fascia.
What happened to him?
Thank you. They have ascended.
We had to put him down.
No.
Just like Grandpa.
Yep.
And of course, our TheraPartners, the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts, Dirty B and Pickett. And we want to especially thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the TheraProducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie, Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop. Hey, build our March Madness thing, Smitty. Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma Kane, Alina, Cody the Lorian Guy, Sam Cohn, and Brady Malachek.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. I want to thank our landlords, Matt and Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. But remember, pod therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, and Blue Sky. It's /PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
If you want to submit a question to the show, you definitely should.
We're out!
Please,
Ask anonymously
It's
at
going to be a trivia palooza.
podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com or by clicking the link in the episode to be taken to our anonymous Google form. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Colonel Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for appointments.
the silly
next week.
goose.
The silly goose. Certified.
Y'all,
silly goose.
our mama duck hasn't come back yet this year, so I feel like she's not going to be here. I know.
Oh, that's
really
sad.
bummed
No
about.
ducks?
But on a related note, Jim had duck for dinner.
On an unrelated note, I bought you this stuffed duck.
It is a female from your yard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.